The National Republican Congressional Committee pulled its support for the Republican House nominee in New Jersey who had shared bigoted views, claiming, for instance, that diversity leads to Muslims killing Christians. This comes on the heels of an Anti-Defamation League report stating, quote, members of the extremist right and their racist anti-Semitic views are experiencing more exposure today than at any time in recent history, unquote. The ADL noting that the former head of the American Nazi Party, who is the Republican nominee for an Illinois House seat, and many others. CNN's Tom Foreman now explains how mainstream Republicans have been trying to deal with all these flagrant bigots on the ballot, from California to North Carolina, from Illinois to Virginia.
That flag is not about racism, folks.
U.S. Senate nominee Corey Stewart railing about the Confederate flag in Virginia. New Jersey congressional contender Seth Grossman taking on multiculturalism.
The whole idea of diversity is a bunch of crap and un-American.
And in Illinois, another congressional hopeful, Arthur Jones, addressing the Holocaust.
Yes, I deny the Holocaust. It's an extortion racket, pure and simple.
They are all Republicans. All have made it onto the ballot this fall. And for groups like the Anti-Defamation League, such successes belie a deeply worrisome movement toward extremism.
Even if those candidates are not going to win, the fact that they get any level of support, whether it's 2% or 20% in these primaries, should raise concerns in the community.
President Trump's critics say his incendiary rhetoric has made racism more mainstream, while the party, which has pulled support from some of the most extreme candidates, rejects that, telling CNN the racist beliefs of Nazis, the KKK, white supremacists, and others are repulsive, evil, and have no fruitful place in the United States. But that has not stopped the small but troubling trend. In North Carolina, Republican Russell Walker's bid to grab a seat in the State House is linked to rambling attacks on Muslims, Mormons, and Jews, and rants about African Americans and so-called white rights.
You will not replace us!
Not all these people are pursuing such extreme agendas, but in one particularly stark example, remember that white nationalist and neo-Nazi rally in Charlottesville, Virginia? James Alsop was there. Now back home in Washington state, he's won a low-level party office, where he made it clear on a white nationalist podcast he's still pushing his views.
I'm not going to tell you that knocking doors for Republican congressmen is going to save the West or save, European Americans. That's not at all what I'm saying, but it is a means to an end.
He also once gave an introductory speech at a rally for Donald Trump.
If we want to take our country back from the globalists and the corrupt politicians and put it in the hands of someone who actually knows what they're doing, there's only one choice, America.
A dozen years back, even a whiff of racism could be political poison, as Republican Senate candidate George Allen learned when he aimed a racial slur at an Indian American in Virginia.
Let's give a welcome to Makaka here.
Allen apologized, then lost anyway.
Champions of neo-Nazism, anti-Semitism, and simply those who openly stoke racial animus and white anxiety are unapologetically showing up more often. And it's not so clear things that they say are things that everyone thinks are so bad. Even in that recent poll showing half of America thinks the president is racist, Republicans overwhelmingly said no, he's not. Jake?
Tom Foreman, thanks so much. So let's talk about this. Nina Turner, let me start with you. Why do you think this is happening? Is it just an aberration, a coincidence, or do you think that racism is becoming more mainstream?
Yeah, it's the bubbling up of what is already clearly in America's DNA, things that we don't want to confess to. And this president emboldens that kind of behavior. A lot of those candidates probably figure it worked for him. He's president of the United States of America now. So maybe that it can work for them. I mean, these are people who are clearly not afraid to show a white sheet under a blue suit. They're bringing it out into the open, and we have to deal with that. And that poll that clearly says, you know, in a lot of ways, this is bigger than President Trump. He's the lightning rod to this. But as a country, we have never, ever really dealt with, in a way, a truth and reconciliation in the same way that South Africa did under apartheid. Now, all things there are not perfect, but as a country, we've never had a truth and reconciliation moment in this country. And President Trump has to wear the fact that these folks feel emboldened to do what they're doing and to say what they're saying.
So you're the former Republican congressman at the table. I'm sure you find these individuals reprehensible and their views disgusting. But what's going on, because I have never seen this many nominees. Now, forget candidates. There are always fringe candidates here and there, but these are actual nominees. And it's gotten to the point that Senator Ted Cruz announced, don't vote for the Republican in that Illinois House seat, et cetera.
No one should vote for these candidates. And the party needs to find a mechanism. And those of us who despise this behavior and these beliefs trying to creep into the Republican Party, the Democrats have their own set of problems, but this is reprehensible. They need to find that mechanism to stop these people from using the Republican name. One of these candidates is a member of the Nazi Party. He's not a Republican, but he knew that no one was paying attention to this district. It's overwhelming. He's going to lose. It's overwhelmingly Democrat, but it gives him a platform. And what we don't want to do is have anyone use that platform in the Republican name. It is antithesis to everything the Republican Party stands for. And they need to find a way to purge these candidates from the ballot.
So Tom discussed earlier that Quinnipiac poll suggesting that 49% of the American people think that Donald Trump, the president, is racist. 47% do not. I don't know that that's not part of this story to a degree.
Well, Jake, it reminds me of the debate that we had during the campaign in 2016, right, when you had many fringe elements and overtly racist elements campaigning for President Trump. You showed one of them, in the package leading up to this, supporting Trump, saying, David Duke was one of President Trump's big champions during the 2016 campaign. So we had this debate at that time. How much do you hold the president? Is he responsible for the racist views of his supporters? Or conversely, do his own views on this subject? And remember, Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House, he said when asked about President Trump's comments at one point during the campaign, he said they're the textbook definition of racism.
When he said that the Judge Curiel couldn't do his job because he was Mexican-American. What's your take, David?
So look, I obviously push back. I don't believe the president's racist. I do think he at times says racially insensitive remarks, makes racially insensitive comments, but I don't believe he's racist. And I do believe that this is, to Nina's earlier point, this is a bigger conversation we need to have in America, right? These handful of completely whack job individuals were able to weasel their way onto the ballots under the Republican mantra label is horrific. But
do you think it's a coincidence that all of them are doing it now?
Well, I think that there's perhaps more of a feel that they can be emboldened, not necessarily by the president, but by the rise of folks. Ronald Reagan once said, "I don't necessarily agree with them; they may agree with me." I think it's the same situation here. A lot of these folks may like the president; he doesn't necessarily agree with what they're doing. I think they may feel emboldened because of some of this. Some of what you're seeing across America, and look, we're giving them plenty of television. We're giving them plenty of television.
He said,
look, it's wrong.
It's good people on both sides.
Wrong.
I mean, the president has maligned the integrity and value of Mexicans, of Muslims. He's been even the blacks. He said that during the campaign.
It's regretful. I think some of the things he says is regretful. I don't disagree with you. But I don't hold him responsible. I don't hold him responsible for these people getting on the ballot.
But he is responsible for the temperature being this high and not taking a moral high ground to disavow these folks.
Listen,
they're not good people on each side. A racist is a bad person.
Listen, the people who march with hoods and torches and listen, the folks who are chanting death to Jews. The president has Jewish grandchildren, right? I mean, to think that he thinks there's a moral equivalency there is.
So why did he say it?
Look, I don't know.
Take the bully pulpit.
I wish I could tell you why.